So we're back with another update. This one comes a few days after the last one because basically I've finished the section that I want. This video is probably going to be a shorter one, but let's get into it. So you'll notice in the top left there's some yellow text that says loaded and reserved. This is basically for the ammo system that I've set up. So you got 30 out of 30 loaded and then 120 out of 120 reserve. So this gun setup basically it works a bit like a shotgun, but I'll show you because it's got a bit of a silly animation that I made myself in about 30 minutes, if that. So we spray our bullets and then we can't shoot anymore, and then it does this this little stupid pumping animation because it's supposed to be like a water gun, and each time it pumps it gives us 6 bullets. But we can stop it midway, so if I do this and then start reloading and then I press the button again, I can stop it. When it's empty and then I click, it will start doing it. Or I can press R to do it on demand, and then it stops when it reaches maximum. So that's like the very basic version of the ammo system. This would be like what you would use for shotguns, or in this case like a water gun. So this is our weapon object, and here we've got a component which is our ammo. We've got our storage type, which is basic at the moment. We've got this has a chamber, which I'll show in a little bit, but we'll have a look at these loaded and reserved. This basically is the maximum amount, and then this is the start amount, and then this is how much gets loaded per reload. And then obviously with the reserve it's the same. So this kind of all has a clamping system, so if I move this down, I can't move the start up more than what the maximum is. I had a lot of issues trying to get this to actually work correctly because it was desyncing every time I was loading it, and if I were to drag start ammo across like this, it wouldn't, the value would say in this instance 38, but it would actually be 300 starting ammo. So there was a bit of a weird thing going on, but I managed to solve it in the end. But say if I just set this to 30, which is what it was at, and then this is obviously how much loads each time we do the little pump animation. So it's fairly self-explanatory. It takes from the reserve when the ammo is empty and he just puts it into here. It's very simple. We've also got down here animation, which is like a kind of data set that I've got set up, a data asset or whatever you want to call it. This one's for just basic reload. So this has got there's multiple versions of this. I don't know if I can just quickly open this. So this is the basic one. We've got full reload rack weapon, which is when you cock it, and then full reload, which is a combination of the two. I haven't set any animations on these two because I don't need them. However, if I were to say enable has chamber, then what this does is it opens up a new segment, which if you understand how actual guns work, you can have a magazine of 10 bullets, you put it in your gun and then you cock it, and then the first bullet of the magazine is then put into the chamber. So then if you were to remove that magazine and put a new magazine in, you will now have 11 bullets because there's one already in the chamber. This is a little detail that a lot of games seem to not do. They don't put this extra detail in there. So I like to put it in there. If it's a gun that has a chamber, then I want it to work that way. The best way to show this really is it does work with this kind of shotgun setup, but because I haven't got any animations set for this weird pumping animation, I'm going to use the magazine reload. So the magazine reload again is another one of these, but it has a few extra things on it. Because we're not using the magazine version of this, we're using the basic version, it will still call the animations, it just won't use all the variants. So you'll see at the top now, we've got 30, but in brackets we've got a 1, which is basically the extra bullet in the chamber. So if I were to shoot, we'll go down to 29, but what's happening is on the chamber at the moment is automatically loading, like a semi-automatic weapon. So each time I shoot, the 1 is remaining the same, and it's the loaded amount that's going down. Well, technically it's the chamber amount going down, and then it's getting shifted into that but because it's all happening in one frame, you don't see it on the interface. So the other type of ammo setup that I've got is this magazine version. So it's basically kind of similar, but also very different. So I can put this magazine count up here, and you'll notice that we get like this array down here with multiple, and I can set individually how much ammo is in each. Right, as a general rule, if for example I set this to 25 and then I go like this, so they come out as 25, but if I then were to raise this doesn't come up, but if I were to lower it, they come down. Basically the way to get them all to the right amount is you got to go up and then down, or just change this value. I've set the maximum magazine count to 5 at the moment. I can adjust that later on, but I like to have the slider so I can do this. What we can do is we can turn the chamber on and off. It's exactly the same. So if the chamber's off, it'll basically only use the two animations, which is magazine out and magazine in, right? So magazine out and magazine in. So if you look at it in the top left, we've got 30 out of 30, and then we've got 16, which is one magazine, and then there's a little like star next to that 30. That's telling us that that magazine is the one that is being used at the moment. So there's basically like a pointer system. So you've got an array of all these magazines with integers inside them, and then there's a pointer that points to the current magazine that is in play. If I were to aim and then shoot a little bit and then reload and then stop it, you'll notice that now there's no magazine because they've taken the magazine out. So now if I were to press the button to shoot, it will then put in a new magazine, or you can press the R button. So what I'm trying to show here is how the animations are segregated in a way that they get called, like different parts of the animation will get called. So if I need to reload the full thing, it will take the magazine out and then put a new magazine in. If I take the magazine out and then stop it, then we got no magazine, and then I'll have to put a new one in. Obviously this isn't reflected on the gun, and I'm probably not going to reflect it on the gun until I actually put my own weapons in there, because it's something that's like not that important at the moment. But yeah, you'll notice that the one that while I'm shooting, the one that's got the pointer next to it goes down, and then we reload a new one. And here's a situation where I've got 20 bullets in the gun at the moment, and the other two has 16 and 18. If I were to press reload now, nothing will happen, and it'll come up a little green message saying has ammo, basically to say you've got the maximum amount of ammo that you could possibly have. This is like the biggest magazine that you've got, so it won't basically reload. So then if I were to add the chamber into this, then now we've got the extra little detail of racking the weapon after we've used some ammo. So if I shoot like this and then press reload, it will load it and then rack the weapon afterward. And now we've got 29 and then 1, so we've got 30 bullets, and then we can reload again and it won't rack the weapon. If I were to do this and go all the way down until it's empty and then reload, and then when the magazine's in and then cancel, there's no bullet now in the actual chamber until I press to shoot, and then it will rack the gun, so then we can basically then start shooting. So the other thing with this is if I turn auto load after shot off, so when we shoot now, I won't be able to shoot again until I rack the weapon, and then I can shoot again and then rack the weapon and then shoot and then rack the weapon, right? So this is kind of like what you would have with, again, a pump action shotgun, or like, I don't know, like a bolt action rifle. At the moment though, it just shoots and then you have to click again to then rack it. If I were to press the shoot and then press the reload button, it will actually reload the gun fully. So what would probably happen when I add like weapons like this is I'd have it so it automatically racks after the shot, unless like you interrupt it through whatever means, you get hit or whatever, And then the other detail you may have noticed is there's actually like a bit of recoil now when the gun shoots. It kind of moves back a little bit. So when we shoot, it just kind of like jolts a little bit. And what it does is it moves back, like more and more and more until it reaches like a maximum, and then it kind of just judders backwards and forward. Originally I was using a montage to do this, and I found it wasn't really the best setup. So what I'm actually doing here is I'm actually just applying like an offset like value, and there's a bit of like code that like makes it go forward like over time. So it's kind of like you're just pulling like a float down, like subtracting from a float, and then it's like going back up over time. So in the actual weapon, there is actually like a recoil per shot, and then a recovery time that can be set up for like different weapons. So like there might be a weapon that it goes fully back and then moves. I'll probably add some extra other stuff, like a bit of like left and right deviation, but I'm not going to go too crazy on that until I start putting my own animations in. And that's about it for this update. So if you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment. These videos are released 1 week earlier on Patreon for free, and then another week earlier for those who subscribe. So if you want to support me there, go over to Patreon, should be a link in the description. And if you want to do none of that, would you kindly bugger off?